Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. As we know, over the past couple of weeks, there's been a lot of weapon changes in Warzone via the Season 4 update, the other weapon tuning update just after that. And while we saw a lot of changes primarily to Vanguard guns, buffing or nerfing things like the STG, the BAR, the NZ, the UGM8, so on and so forth, one weapon change sort of went under the radar, if you will. The MAC-10 actually got a slight range buff, which was kind of out of the blue considering the MAC-10 really is not a formidable meta weapon or anything like that, but it's also not like a completely forgotten weapon. And obviously Cold War guns and MW guns don't get that much attention. So today we're looking at the buffed MAC-10 and seeing if it's worth using now over some other choices. Is it meta per se? As we go through it all, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, every day I got you covered with everything going on in COD. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. So first things first, we got to check out the stats, of course, and as always, we are here on True Game Data going over the most detailed stats there are. Shout out to Tony for putting in the work, putting in the effort to get us all this information so it's so easily consumable. Of course, we're looking at combination shots on our usual health here, and I wanted to compare the MAC-10 to some of the other top sniper support options, then the Marco, which of course is a top SMG. Now, just up front, the MAC-10 is not a close range sub by any means. It's going to be bested within the first 10 meters by a lot of other SMG options. The MAC-10, like it has been for months at this point, is a sniper support SMG. And obviously, with a range buff, that would become even more competitive, right? So I wanted to go against the well gun here, which is, of course, it used to be a top close range SMG. Now I think it's more of a sniper support sub from Vanguard. The MP40, which people use in many different versatile ways, close range sniper support, anything like that. And then, like I said, the Marco with, of course, the optimal muzzle, barrel, and magazine combos on there. And when we go ahead and we look at this graph, I mean, like I said, through those first 10 meters here, yeah, the MAC-10 has the slowest TTK. Now that said, the difference between the MAC-10 and the well gun in this first, 10.5 meters here, negligible. That's not something you're ever realistically going to feel in game. We're looking at a difference of like 5 milliseconds, 0.05 of a second, which is, like I said, you're never gonna feel that in game. Now, obviously, there are larger differences between the MAC-10 up close and the Marco up close. However, you can see between 8 meters and 12 meters here in that 4-meter gap, the Marco drops off pretty significantly and the MAC-10 would then take over. And then all the way from 12 meters up to 18, so another 6 or 7 meter gap here, the MAC-10 is actually the best TTK SMG out of all these by a small margin. Again, not something you necessarily always feel in game, but it is there statistically. And then, of course, from 18 meters and beyond, everything but the MP40 is basically the exact same. That just comes down to which weapon you're going to land more shots with, which also is a very important conversation here. Now, the Marco, for instance, a lot more recoil than these other weapons here, especially with this build here with the Bodhi barrel and the recoil booster. That's a TTK based build, so it's pretty good within the first 12 meters. After that, though, you're going to start to miss some shots because the recoil is a little bit more bouncy, a little bit more circular, and not super ideal. The well gun, though, super easy to land shots with. The MAC-10 super easy to land shots with. So if we take the if we actually take the Marco out of the equation here, you can see well gun and MAC-10 basically the same. Which one are you going to be landing more shots with here? That comes down to your personal skill level and your personal comfortability with each one of those guns, but they're both super easy to use. If we were to go ahead and look at the recoil plots here, unfortunately the Marco, Tony doesn't have that on the site yet, but the MAC-10, it's got a little bit of bounce here and there, but that's not something you can't combat. It's also not too shabby. However, the well gun, clearly an easier pattern here, a lot more vertical, a little bit less horizontal bounce left and right, but in 20-meter fights, obviously you have a larger player target, so even that horizontal bounce isn't the end of the world. But, for a lower skill player, you might see, oh, the MAC-10 got buffed. It used to be so good. It's got to be meta again. While it is close for sure, and obviously it is going to come down to an individual player, for a lower skill, more casual based player, you're probably going to want to lean towards something that's easier to use, which in this case would be something like the well gun. The MP40 also very easy though as well, and if you like that better mobility that the MP40 offers in a lot of cases, that's also something to take note of. Despite the fact that it does have that slightly worse TTK over range, at least up close, it's definitely not a bad choice. So really what I think that this update does is it takes the MAC-10 from being sort of a weapon that's on the back burner. Yeah, you could use it, it's competitive for sure in the general meta, but it's not a Vanguard sub. It doesn't have the greatest mobility in the world. The control is kind of iffy, but as a sniper support option, it's definitely usable. It takes it from that more so it's all right. You could definitely use it if you wanted to, and it's going to be decent for what it is, up there with things like the well gun, for instance, which I think is its closest comparison here. So it's definitely back in that sniper support meta, but is it a true meta weapon after all of it, including this new buff? That is more like a borderline yes, no. It really just comes down to the player's skill level. So let's talk loadouts here really quick. I want to break down a loadout for the MAC-10 and then also for the well gun, so you have your two solid sniper support choices here. Of course, as we saw in the graph, we're going for agency and task force. The nice thing about the MAC-10 is you can actually build it out several different ways with the last attachment. We do want to run the 53 round drum on there, then also the Tiger Team Spotlight for better mobility. But then when it comes to your 5th attachment, you really have 3 different options here. You could go for something like a Field Agent Grip. It's going to slow you down, but that control is going to be a lot better. It won't be as sporadic left to right and bouncy. You might land some more shots with that. You could go for Bruiser as well and have insane movement for a Cold War sub. That's also a really good choice. You could go for something like a rear grip, for instance, the Serpent Wrap, which is my personal favorite to run, which gives you a better ADS, makes it a little bit more snappy. But obviously for sniper support, that's not necessarily the biggest factor there. ADS is a lot of close range gunfights. That's what's super important there. So you're not necessarily getting the most out of it with that. You could also go for something like the Raider stock, which is better ADS firing move speed, better aim walking movement speed, and a better sprint to fire, which makes that strafe a little bit better for sniper support. And that to me is more of a well-rounded sniper support build. But if you wanted to build it a little bit more aggressive, Serpent Wrap on there also works really well. And then for the well gun, again, as we saw on the graph, we had the recoil booster, we had the shrouded barrel, which is going to give you really good control and also help out with that damage range some. And I was running the Granco 40 round mags as well. Now personally, I feel like the best optic choice here is going to be that basic red dot, nice and clean. I'm not super huge on the iron sights, especially for like, 20 meter fights, 30 meter fights for sniper support. It just gets a little tricky there to stay on target just because iron sights are worse at a distance. For the stock here, I'm actually going for a move. This speeds it up a little bit, makes it a bit more consistent and agile, despite obviously being primarily meant for sniper support. You can get away with using this close range if you had to, especially because of the changes to underbarrels and how easy this is to use already. I don't feel like you need something like hand stop on here any longer. I feel like you could get away with steady for sure for the better control, but also not really having any cons there. You could use something like the compact underbarrel here for that better strafe speed. You could also use the skeletal or the pistol grip if you wanted something to be a little bit more aggressive. I feel like steady is probably going to be the way to go. For ammo here, you could do lengthen for the better velocity in sniper support, which is what I'd probably go for here, but subsonic and frangible are good choices as well. For the rear grip, I'm actually really liking taped on a lot of my subs just for that slightly better movement speed, makes it a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more agile. Perk 1, acrobatic, better movement yet again, and then perk 2, I'm going to go for quick for that better sprint speed. You could also go for on hand for a faster ADS or fully loaded if you wanted to as well. But yeah, you got 2 pretty solid options for SMG sniper support right now. MAC-10 and well gun both doing really well, and if you wanted to use something that wasn't Vanguard, you could definitely use the MAC-10 after this last update. That's gonna wrap things up though. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know by dropping a like on it, and if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, every day I got you covered with all things going on in COD, so feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.